Anyway, so yeah, I'm Julián. Super nice to see you here all. Thank you for attending. Thank you also to Matt, to Kieran, to James, really for the invitation. You guys are building something really cool. So hopefully this is the first one of many. Yeah. And yeah, also I'm here to talk about my experience with Bubble, which is specifically building interfaces for Eurocontrol. So when I say interfaces, they are basically interfaces that right now they are being used for like pilot and controllers trainings, basically. I will go more into detail anyway after. But so before I actually proceed, I'd like to raise a question. Well, two questions actually. The first one being, how many of you know Bubble? Perfect. So you two don't. Okay. Wait, sorry. And then the second one is, how many of you know what Eurocontrol is? You do? Okay, nice. Okay, yeah, of course. Okay, perfect. I will explain later what Eurocontrol is anyway. So let's get started. So yeah, first of all, I'd like to introduce a little bit who am I, my experience, and what happened before I actually became a Bubble developer. Then I'd like to move into the two interfaces that I have developed. So one was the pilot version 1 and then the controller version 1. So those who are at the tower of control. And then finally, I'd like to wrap it up with some takeaways that maybe they are useful to someone here, maybe for you too, who don't know Bubble, I don't know. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, a bit about my background. So I was saying I'm Julián. I'm Julián Valentín, sorry. I'm Julián Valentín, sorry if I am introducing. Sorry if there's some spats. Well, so yeah, my name is Julián. I live in Paris right now, although I might be eventually moving to Amsterdam. Who knows? We can talk later. For those who live in the Netherlands, then I started my career, my studies more with telecommunications engineering in 2013, and then I never really enjoyed it. My bachelor, I liked it, but I never felt like passionate about it, right? But I kept on going. I thought, okay, maybe one day I will like it, the classic. I will earn money eventually, that will make me happy, I don't know. But yeah, so in 2019, I started my master's. I was in Sweden back then. And I have a very good friend here called Pablo. He's right here. I don't know if you know him, guys. I'm sure that maybe many of you do, though. He's pretty big in the community, in the Bubble community. And he knows me pretty well, right? So we've been friends since a long time ago, since we were 6 years old, and he just knows me really well. So he knew that I wasn't super excited about my bachelor. So he said, hey dude, like there's this tool that you can build software without even having to code, so you're gonna love it. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. But I was a bit more focused on my university life, having fun with my masters and all that. So I didn't really listen to it. But then I went back to Spain for holidays, and this time we did catch up, like physically speaking. We had a whole hour to talk about Bubble. He came with his computer, and he showed me. Oh, okay. And he showed me basically. We had a whole hour for him to explain me what Bubble was, and he sold it to me so passionately, basically. And of course, who doesn't like to hear someone speaking passionately, right? So yeah, basically I just said, I love this. And the day after I was already like, okay, this is great. I feel so powerful. This has so much impact in what I'm doing. This has so much impact in what I'm doing. I could see immediately an immediate result of what I was doing. And it was a feeling I had never gotten during my studies. So yeah, I don't know, like that whole summer that I was in Spain, I felt like, okay, I want to keep on doing things. I want to learn. I was doing the Redev course with Matt here. He was my first one. I was learning things from Twitter, from LinkedIn, from Slack, from whatever. But then anyway, reality kicked in, and I still had to continue my life as a telecommunications engineer. And so by that time, I was moving to Paris to start my traineeship at Eurocontrol. I was moving to Paris with my girlfriend, who is right here, recording. So I was starting my traineeship at Eurocontrol. So what is Eurocontrol, right? Eurocontrol is an international organization that basically what they do is that they make sure that the flights in Europe mainly are safe. So for example, with the war now between Ukraine and Russia, then they are the ones who make sure, okay, if you want to fly to China, normally you would go over Russia, but not anymore. Now they are the ones who decide, okay, no, we have to go all over Turkey, right? So that's like their power, let's say. So there was I, basically. I was doing my traineeship. They have her headquarters in Brussels, but I was, in my case, in the innovation hub of Paris. So that's where they test more things. They innovate, basically. They innovate a bit more. So when I arrived, I had this manager, very important throughout my career as well, called Nikos Fistas. And he told me, okay, you have 3 tasks. You can choose whichever you want. And there was one in particular that was really, really interesting, which was to redevelop an interface that was available in the public website of Eurocontrol. And so I was like, okay, I really like this. And so it was available, but not anymore, because it was run with Adobe Flash Player, and I don't know if they split up, the 2 of them, so that interface or simulator, whatever, it didn't work anymore. So they didn't have anything to show. So there was I to try to replace it, no? And so I said, yes, of course, I want to do this. I want to make an impact. I want to stay at the company, of course, because, I don't know, the conditions, it's an international organization, right? Like the conditions are really, really good in overall. And so, yeah, I said yes, but immediately, again, reality kicked in, and I wasn't sure how I was going to make such monsters. So this monster, you lack some context anyway, but it is this thing on the left that you see is really old, and it worked really well. I will explain what it is, but it's basically what you can find in the cockpit of the airplanes. Anyway, so I got hired also, or for my traineeship, because I had my programming knowledge in Python, in some JavaScript, but I never really thought I could actually develop the whole thing. I could maybe start the source code and maybe pass it to the next trainee or to an agency, I don't know. But then, again, as I was saying, I had this beautiful friend called Pablo, and I'm guessing you know the end of the story, but he just told me the magic words, basically, which were, dude, just make it with Bubble. And I was like, I'm going to make it with Bubble. Because it was also the fact that he said it in such a reassuring way, right, with so much confidence, that it made me feel, okay, actually, if there's a problem or whatever, I always have Pablo, to solve it. And it doesn't mean that he was actually going to solve every problem, but it was just the reassurance that changed my mindset. And I thought, okay, actually, this is feasible. The moment that he said that, the day after, I gave myself, okay, I'm going to give myself a whole week to prepare a prototype for the team that I'm going to present it to the team. And let's see, maybe they like it. And so, this prototype was the most important thing of all, basically, because, the prototype had to be visually appealing, or it had to work well. And also I had to deliver it quickly because, first of all, I needed them to gain trust in me, of course. And the second one is also that I needed them to gain trust in the platform, in the tool, in Bubble, right? Because, Eurocontrol is a very, very traditional organization. Everything is run with code, Python. So imagine this trainee who comes here with Bubble. What is Bubble? I don't care about Bubble. I just want it done and with code, the traditional way. It needs to pass through IT, like the classic traditional way of working. This was the prototype. It was really, really, really important. I created the prototype, super exciting, and I presented it to the team, and they loved it. So, they gave me green light, and then flash forward to right now. I implemented 2 interfaces finally. I am working for them, so this is how I became a Bubble developer, basically. And now, before I actually move to the juicy part, the interfaces, I want to briefly introduce you what data link is, because it's important for you to understand, so that you understand after the 2 interfaces. So data link is a communication protocol, basically, that allows pilots and controllers and pilots to communicate between themselves, but through text, so messages. And it's really important, actually, because normally the communication would take place through voice, right? Because it's the best way we can understand each other, right? But this voice communications has a frequency band that is limited. So if you put all the communications via voice, then at some point, maybe the most urgent communications cannot happen. So this is what this is for, it's to liberate that frequency band so that the less important communications can go through data link, so via text. So we can understand it also. So in case that you didn't understand, it can be basically a very, very, very robust way of talking, but still that works really well, okay? So it's like a Nokia, basically. Let's just leave it like that. Yeah, so, okay, and now let's move to the juicy part. First of all, this is the first simulator I developed with Bubble. This is the first one. This was still as a trainee. And so imagine, so that's the device right now. Imagine that's a cockpit, okay? And I am the pilot. I'm sitting down. Depending on where I am sitting, I would have it on my left or on my right. So that I can reach it with my hands, because I'll have to type, I'll have to send messages, I'll have to navigate through the pages, okay? Well, yeah, so the framework was Bubble and also some JavaScript, and it finally took me 8 months. And so I have a demo video to show you with an example what it is about. So this is the Bubble simulator, okay? As you can see, it has a virtual keyboard there below, and then on top of it, it has 6 buttons on the left and 6 buttons on the right, which are necessary basically to navigate through the screens, so the display. So now what we're doing is we're navigating, and now imagine that I am a pilot, okay? And I want to fly from Madrid to Paris, which is what I'm gonna be doing this summer. So first of all, I need to specify the flight ID of my flight. I type it and I save it on the flight ID field. Then I type the airport code of Madrid, so LEMD, that's the airport code of Madrid. I save it in the origin station, and then I'm flying to Paris, right? So specifically to Paris Orly, so it's one of the airports from Paris. So I save it, and now send logon, which means basically that I'm logging into the tower control so that I can communicate afterwards with the controller. And you'll see that right now there's an ATC message down below at the bottom, which means it's basically a notification, so a message from the controller. So I click on it, and now I'm in the page where I communicate with the controller. So the top one is the controller message, and below is what I can do as a pilot. I can reply Roger, I can reply enable, I can reply standby. So what matters right now is the Roger, which basically means like Roger, I accept it, right? I don't know if you watch One Piece, but well. So yeah, now we have received another message, ATC message, which just basically means that the controller is telling us that now we can proceed and start sending requests. So now we're gonna go to the data link menu, where we can do multiple things. The first one being the page logon status, which is where we were before, where we can see the information about our flight, where we can also log out and not communicate anymore with the controller. Then the second one is ATC log, which is the page where you can see the history of all the messages that the controller and the pilot have exchanged. And then lastly is the reports and requests, which is where we send the requests to the controller, sorry. And what kind of requests? So it can be requests, it can be requests related to the altitude, requests related to the speed, to the direction. This pause, no? I guess. Yeah, so it can be requests related to altitude, speed, direction. It can also be weather deviations, because the weather is really bad and I need to turn to the left, to the right, to any of them, doesn't matter. And then lastly, I can also ask for reports, basically. But well, this is less important anyway. So now let's put an example. The weather is really bad. We're flying to Paris, Orly specifically. But actually, okay, since it's so bad, we're gonna go it's still to Paris, but to another airport. So what do we need to do? We first need to type the new airport code, so LFPG, so Charles de Gaulle, basically. And we type it and we save it in the airport, and then we specify due to the weather, basically. And now we verify that indeed our message is the correct one, so request direct to LFPG due to the weather, and we send a request to the controller. So we have immediately received a message, which you will see is just basically my message that I just sent to confirm that it has been sent. And then immediately we have a new message from the controller saying, okay, you can proceed, and then you reply whatever you want. Wilco, in this case, is I will commit, so I accept. So that's basically how it works. It's about showing how controllers and pilots, in this case, from the pilot perspective, communicate, basically. And so I receive a lot of questions, like how did I do this, basically. But there's one in particular that I really, really like to share with everyone, which is, so they asked me, how did you make it look this old style, this metallic view, right? Like this, it just looks old. So yeah, for that, normally what we do, maybe designers, front-end developers, they look for inspiration, right? And in my case, I had to look back, like, okay, how did they do it in the past? Because they didn't work with, I don't know, like blurred, spread, offsets, vertical or horizontal offsets, right? So I had to go basically to the past to see how they did it in, oh, is it here? Sorry. Yes, yeah, how they did it in Windows 98, you know? So, like, if you actually check it, it's really simple. Like, imagine that the light comes from the sky, and the light borders from the left are, and from the top, they are white, basically, and then below is, yeah, it's just gray and some dark as well, so some black, sorry. So it's exactly the same. I applied this theory to the whole simulator, you know? So, why is this not working? Okay. Yeah, I applied the same theory. So you can see on the edge of the device, but then also on the buttons, also inside in the screen, you know? And so it was actually then when I realized, okay, actually, I'm building something pretty good. Okay, well, am I going too fast or it's good? Yeah, then you can hear me or, okay. And maybe you guys can't hear me, I don't know. What? UP. It's actually UP000, but I couldn't put the slash to actually make you recognize it as a 0. But yeah, I had to choose the font. Anyway, now let's move to the second one. So this is the same principle, exact same principle, but from the controller's perspective. So imagine this is a controller, okay, it's a woman, and well, there's a lot of women, by the way, that are controllers because they actually manage better doing many things at the same time. It's really impressive. And so imagine she's a controller and she's managing a lot of flights. So what's important in this circular video is just the green things, okay? The green things are flights, okay? And maybe she can be handling at the same time 5, 6, 7 at the same time. So it's a lot of responsibility. It's insane. And so I have the same. It's a demo video to show you how I did it. And yeah, so I did it with Bubble as well and some JavaScript. This time it took me 9 months because also I was working in the meantime with another agency. So yeah, it just took me a bit longer. But yeah, same thing. So now you see that the interface in this case is a bit simpler. It's basically kind of like a map. And you need to focus on the 2 triangles. So the one below is an Iberia, EBE, blah, blah, blah. And the upper one is a Ryanair one. Okay, and so here the controls are, the key of the controls are on the mouse. So first of all, now you see that they are white, which means that they are not a responsibility. But to actually assume the responsibility of those flights, we need to right-click with the mouse, and you will see that it will turn into green. You see, it has turned green, and the triangle now is pointing upwards also. That means that is our responsibility. Whatever we send is on us. So let's say, for example, we're going to ask to climb up. Right now, the current flight level, so the altitude of this flight is 280, and we want to ask it to go to the level 300, for example, right? So we click on the 300, that's CFL, and we set the uplink message, which basically we're sending the message to the pilot. And we can see the message being sent, and we're waiting for the pilot to reply. We can see that by the lighter color of the triangle. And now immediately we see down below the WCO, which means Wilco. So they have accepted our request. Now, let's go to the, well, we can also see it with the arrow indeed that is going up. It means it's climbing. Now, let's assume the responsibility of the Iberia one. And in this case, we say, okay, Iberia, you're going too fast. You need to slow down a bit. So the 0.90 is the current speed, and we want it to go to a lower one, so 0.87 in this case. The same thing, uplink message, the message has been sent, we're waiting for the pilot to reply, and immediately you will see that the pilot will say again, Wilco, which means I will commit, I accept it. Right, so now let's do the most important message that is in data link, bless you. So like when it's no longer a responsibility, we need to transfer it to the next one, right? To the next controller. So in this case, it's a contact message, which is the message most used in data link. And basically what we're doing is exactly, as I said, like just transferring the responsibility, but before we need to wait that the pilot indeed can actually accept the request. And the moment that they have accepted it, then the color will have to turn again into white because it won't be our responsibility anymore, as you can see there. And the triangle now is pointing to the right. So this is the whole principle of this interface that now controllers are using so that they can train themselves. So in this case, I'm just saying, okay, I need you to turn 100 degrees, you know, and I send the message, and same principle all the time. It's sending different kind of requests.
I'm just curious if I, as a pilot, with no good reason, ignore this order, do I lose my license? What is what happens?
Wait, but with the application, you mean, or in real life? Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's really important. You need to know these things. Yeah. But what's your question exactly?
So this is literally Eurocontrol. It's literally kind of the police, which is telling them you have to go down here with your flight.
No, they are the ones who make the rules. So, well, yeah, in a way, maybe, yeah, but I think they make the rules. Yes, I'm not fully sure right now, but I think they are the ones who make the rules. So they have important meetings where they say exactly how the message should look like, how many minutes you have or seconds you have to wait until you can actually reply, stuff like that.
But this woman we saw, she was literally using a bubble app to...
No. The bubble app is what I have made. That was the ops room of, I don't know, from the Netherlands, somewhere in the Netherlands. But that has nothing to do though. Well, I'm not sure if I get it. I made a simulation of what the woman was doing. Yeah.
The simulation is out of the reason that they want good ideas to how they want their design to look.
No. I just replicated what the real one is, so that people, maybe they wanna test it, they wanna train themselves, but in a very easy way, you know. So with an application, let's say, yeah, it's for training. It's just purely for training. Yeah. Thank you for the question. So, well, for this interface as well, I also receive a lot of questions. But, well, since there are so many that do Babel here, then I'll take advantage of that and maybe make it a bit more complex. Let's see. Wait. 1 second. Yeah, so basically, something that I also get questions about, something that I get questions about is also how I implemented this. So pay attention to that 265, basically. You see that now it changed to 270. So basically that's the flight level of the flight, right? So the altitude. And so it's just very simple. It's just looking at Babel from a different perspective. So in this case, what I'm doing is doing a loop on that data field, which in this case is called flight level, which is a number, it's an integer type. And I'm just scheduling a loop all the time, every 30 seconds, until it reaches the 31 there on the right, which is basically the target that it has to reach. So right now the flight level is 275, that has changed right now. And eventually it will reach the 310, and that's when the target has been reached, basically. So again, it's just looking at Babel from a different perspective. If you have more questions after, anyway, ask them about the Babel, whatever you guys want. Now, so before I finish, I wanted to wrap it up with some takeaways that maybe are useful to someone. The first one being that I would like to kill the myth that it's not possible to develop visually appealing interfaces with Babel. I understand that sometimes, I don't know, agencies or freelancers, they are rushed with the delivery time, and maybe you prioritize the delivery time instead of the design. But I don't think it's fair to blame the actual tool that Babel is not possible to actually create something that is visually appealing. Of course, it's not a framer, it's not a Webflow. We know the weakness and the weak spots of it, but it's still possible. We have the tools to actually make something beautiful. We also need time. Then the second one is that having a mentor is crucial. And if he or she is your friend, then even better. And in my case, he was my best friend, so imagine it was even better. So in my case, as I say, it was Pablo. He just reassured me that it was possible, that I had all the confidence. Just because he had the confidence, he had transferred me the confidence, and in case that there was some problem, he could always back me up and help me solve whatever issue I had.
That's shit. You have a little Yoda.
I have a good one. That's true. And of course, you can also, if you don't have a mentor, you can also be the mentor that you would have liked to have had. For example, Eli. He would be an amazing mentor as well. Welcome, by the way. And then the third one, the last one, is that we are all in the same boat. And what do I mean with this is that we all have problems. We all find solutions, especially the building community is really, really, really big. So don't hesitate to ask. I mean, whatever problem you have, probably someone else has solved it before. And we all geeks love to talk about what we have solved. You know, we love to share. As long as you're kind, as long as you say it with respect, then it should all be fine. And we are all in the same boat to help you continue. So yeah, that was my presentation. Thank you, very, very, very much. If you have any questions, please shoot them. That's my email. Then there on the left, you have the QR to the simulators. You can scan it with your phone, but you will see that it's better to use the computer anyway. And lastly, yeah, so right now I'm working at Synflow. I don't know if you know it, but it's this AI startup that, well, we're doing pretty well. What we build is AI voice assistants. And yeah, I'm just saying that I am available also to talk about that. Is all I mean, yeah, that's it. Matt.
Can I ask what was your bubble learning journey like? How long did it take you? Did you use this app? Did you go straight into it trying to build it?
Yeah. It was my real life case scenario, let's say. So I started with that one. That was that was the first time I was building something for real, let's say. Yeah.
How long did it take you, do you think? Like, to learn, I don't know when that ends.
Oof. I think actually I never finished because also I was developing the second simulator, so I kept on actually touching the other one because I was learning more things. So it took me more than a year for sure to actually feel confident that, okay, maybe I've reached not the peak, right? Because you never reach the peak, but where I was actually happy with what I had developed. Yeah. Because also I had to think about how to maintain it, how to pass it to maybe to the next one. So really make something scalable so that maybe, because I was the only one who actually knows Bubble at Eurocontrol, everyone just knows Python. So yeah, I just had to make it in the most simplest way so that if there has to be a change or something, then it's just the click of a button or just type it here, whatever, yeah. No, it was mixed up, yeah. I had Pablo, really, otherwise it was really hard. Yes. Yeah. Like, for example, in the controller one, you know, when you need to like right click so that the color changes to green, for example, that was with JavaScript. What else? Also the keyboard on the first one where you're typing, because you have the keyboard or like the virtual keyboard, but then you can also use your computer's keyboard, and so that was also JavaScript. Yeah, those. Yeah. I tried to sorry, that's I try to simplify it as much as possible, but there's just some things that is not possible. Yeah.
I find flying fascinating, but so you showed there was like sometimes the plane was going from A to B with like X, Y coordinates, possibly also Z coordinates. Did you do this in Bubble where it was like actually flying across a map?
You mean from the circular video, if that happens on the Bubble application? No, that doesn't happen. Because they told me that I had to focus more on the actual messages. Like what kind of requests, what kind of instructions as a controller I can send, I can receive. So they didn't tell me because that's not related to just data link. It's also other things. So yeah, I was focusing just on data link. Yeah, like thankfully also, because otherwise I don't know how to make that. Yeah. To use Bubble. Well, it was, sorry, you weren't in that part, but it's because I made a prototype of, I gave myself a week to make a prototype, and that prototype had to be really good, so look good, work well, and deliver it quickly also, so that they would gain trust a bit in the, yeah.
So it's a simulator, so does that mean that you also had like scenarios that they would run? I'm assuming they was using it for like training purposes.
Yes, so
because I saw you giving like a message and then it would climb. Or was there kind of like, you know, here's a scenario where they're gonna do this? And
yes.
Were they like pre-programmed kind of workflows, like run this scenario?
So I only showed you the actual simulator, but it's also used for documentation, not documentation, but like like guidelines, because I mean they have like these huge papers where they explain exactly how everything works, but they are super annoying. They're super formal, everything. They use a lot of technical words, and in my case, it's all just more intuitive. So I also developed it in such way so that they can go to it and understand things. And also, it has like this onboarding where you can, exactly as you say, like have scenarios like case one. It's like a game in a way sometimes, yeah. So
You'd write those out like kind of like a back-end workflow to run through that.
yes, exactly.
What response they
Exactly. It's a game in the end, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have also the QR code, and you can also reach out to me. No, but you can reach out to me for that. Yes.
When you prototyped it for Eurocontrol, how did you think about what was the key thing to show them? What did you think? How did you think about what to include in the prototype, exclude?
So I had I had the previous version, right? So it was literally just replicating as much as possible, like getting as close as possible to the real one. So it was mainly that it looked very similar, that it did the same things, and that it worked well in the end, right? So yeah, my goal was basically to replicate it as much as possible to what I could test all the time, because I didn't have it available for myself. It was just a .exe, .x, like an executable of those. So I was just replicating it as much as possible during a week. Yeah, that's the goal I put to myself. Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions? No. Okay, then. Maybe you can apply here. No.
So you're working at Simflow now. It's a two-part question. So if you're no longer working on this, did you have to pass this on to someone else to kind of?
No, so for now I still have the account, and supposedly I will continue anyway, in like maintaining it and helping them, and supposedly we want to make something bigger out of it. But things move a bit slow there, so for now I'm at Synflow, and I still keep the contact and the account and all that.
Would it be for another developer to kind of pick this up? I mean, which is not to comment on your how well you structure your apps for someone else to pick up, but I suppose just the logic, like, is it fairly not easy, but
I mean, for example,
would another developer be able to pick this up and continue it?
It depends on what exactly. Like if it's about adding new messages or especially adding new messages, because that was the actual goal of Eurocontrol, then that part is easy. It's just option sets where you can like add them, and then it's super easy in that part. But in terms of if there's a bug that is not fixable, that is fixable, but it's just a bug, and then that's a bit more difficult. Like I would need to actually talk with someone and like instruct it, and I don't think there's time for that right now. So that's for now they have me. I think I will continue being like that. Yeah.
Second part.
Yeah.
What are you doing for the wise at Synflow?
Yeah. So at Synflow, it's so you know it, or you're familiar. Okay. So the whole application is built with Bubble, but then the backend of it is all Python. So like, I don't know, like the calls that the AI voice assistants do, the technology of the voice to improve the voice with synthesizers, with a lot of parameters, all that is in Python. And the actual application, but the database as well, is built with Bubble. Yeah, and so I do all the front-end part, the design part of it, yeah. Yeah. And where you also even have Pablo, well, Minimum. We have Minimum with us, so it's going pretty well. Exactly. Finally, we're working together. It was destiny. Yes, Joseph, sorry.
When you started this, did you already know about like how this flight simulation stuff worked, or did you have to learn that?
No, I had to learn that as well. I had to read the papers. Yes, yeah. Huh? Did I sleep? Well, I was also very passionate, so I didn't want to sleep. That's.
Gentleman in front of me.
Oh.
I was not sure, but perhaps this was a question about like how easy is it to hand over a Bubble application? Was that kind of more the question?
This particular one,
Yeah.
like how easy would it be for someone else to kind of pick it up?
In general.
But
Yeah, well, okay. It was that the question more, or yeah. I mean, but did I reply it or? Okay, sorry. Tas is not happy yet. Well, I guess you're hungry, no? So we can go eat.
Yeah, perfect.